TEDx.
Good morning. About 10 years ago, I woke up to go to work on a Monday morning, and I thought I was having a heart attack. I was the ripe age of 32 years old. My heart was pounding, I couldn't get a breath, I was sweating like crazy, and so I did something that I wouldn't recommend to any of you if you think you're having a heart attack, and I decided to drive my car to the doctor. And when I got to the doctor, they did some tests on me, and they realized that I wasn't having a heart attack, but that I was having a severe panic attack. And I never had a panic attack before in my life. I never experienced anxiety before in my life. I kind of just lived my life here, steady. But I was scared. He said, listen, why don't you go home and rest and just try to get some sleep, and it will go away within 24 hours. Well, unfortunately, that didn't happen for me because my panic attack got worse, and it turned into chronic anxiety disorder. So it got to the point where I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't drive a car. When it got dark at night, I literally thought the sky was closing in on me and I was getting claustrophobic. And it got so bad that my parents had to drive down from Northern California to move in with me for a month just to kind of help me get my life back. And fortunately, at this time, I was introduced to a therapist because I just didn't understand what happened between going to bed at Sunday night and waking up 8 hours later Monday morning, what went wrong in that time period. And I went to see this therapist, and she looked at me and she said, Matt, I want you to see this book, and she slid it across the table. And I want you to open it and read the first sentence. And the first sentence of the book reads, it's not about you. You see, I didn't understand that concept very much because I worked in the music business. I started after graduating from UCLA with my MBA. I started working in music management, artist management, and then I got hired by the Kardashian family. And as working for the Kardashian family and Robert Kardashian, who had a major music marketing company, I'm now working on projects for some of the largest artists in the world, from U2 to Coldplay to Avril Lavigne to Usher. And so now that I've gone from this indie music scene to now this major music scene where I'm working all day, and at night you're going out and you're hobnobbing and you're partying and you're partaking in things you shouldn't partake in, and you're objectifying women, and you kind of get into this lifestyle, this slippery slope of what the business is, and honestly, it just kind of started to gobble me up in it. So when I sat there with this therapist and she says, it's not about you, well, I lived in the most narcissistic, ego-driven world that there is. So I don't understand that concept because I actually probably thought it was about me. And I said, she goes, but listen, until you understand it's not about you, you're never gonna feel better. And I was so desperate at that time, I said, fine, what do I have to do? Because I have to feel better because my life had shut down. And she said, this Saturday, I want you to go out by yourself and I want you to go feed homeless people. And I was like, okay, that sounds weird, and has nothing to do with what I'm going through, but I'll go with it. So I did it. The next week, she had me go pick up litter on Saturday. The next Saturday, I went out and I painted over graffiti. The next Saturday, I went and read to elderly. And every single Saturday morning at 9 a.m., I had to go do this thing by myself with my rubber gloves and my trash bags tucked in my belt loops. And I would go out and I would do these things. And one Saturday morning, I was out picking up litter, and for some reason, it just hit me. And I said, this is what she means. It's not about me. It's about me serving the world and helping the world be a better place. And I realized in that moment that my favorite day of the week became Saturday morning, and I couldn't wait. But the problem I had is I had this dual life because I still worked in the music business all week. And so I spent 5 days in this place that didn't work for me anymore and 2 hours in a place that did. But one day I was walking back from lunch to my office with a coworker, and I bent down on the sidewalk and I picked up a piece of paper on Ventura Boulevard up in Los Angeles. And my coworker said, Matt, what are you doing? Why are you picking that up? And I said, well, because it's litter. And in his defense, he didn't realize that I was this kind of secret professional trash picker-upper at the time. And so I said, yeah, man, I'm just going to pick it up because it's trash. He's like, well, if you didn't litter it there, why would you pick it up? And because it's all of our world. We got to take care of it. And he looked at me and he said, dude, you're weird. And I was so upset that I went up to my office and I called my friend Kelly Boza and I said, listen, Kelly, I want to write a book. And she said, Matt, you don't even read books. How are you going to write one? That's the honest to God truth. And she was partially right. And I said, I get it, but I want to write a book that teaches us ordinary people that we can literally change the world one Monday at a time. Because if it took me 1 second to pick up one piece of litter, what if all 300 million people in our country, plus million people in our country, picked up one piece of litter on the same day? Or what if we all picked up 2 or 5 or 10? Or what if we got our schools or our churches or companies to get involved and do this? What if we all donated blood on a regular schedule? What if we all planted a tree? What if we all smiled more, took better care of our health? What if we wrote a letter of gratitude to somebody every once in a while? And I was convinced that we could change the world one Monday at a time. And so we started writing this book, and the book came out 4.5 years ago called Every Monday Matters, 52 Ways to Make a Difference. And when the book came out, it just started something amazing. And it was so overwhelming for me personally that I decided to walk away from my 10-year career in the music business to try to make Every Monday Matters a household name. And it started fast. It started with the website. The first thing we did as a group was we wrote letters to the firefighters, the men and women who fought the fires here in San Diego 4.5 years ago. Thousands of letters we brought down. I started writing a newspaper column that got syndicated to 400 newspapers. We got a partnership with Oprah. We were on Oprah.com and her newsletter every Monday. We wrote a school curriculum, and we're in 1,500 schools teaching our youth these concepts, and we have corporate programs. But the biggest thing that happened to me, and the thing that I probably remember more than anything, was the day that I got asked to come up to Northern California to speak to a group of men and women who were convicted felons. And I walked into this courtroom, and the woman in charge, she said, "Hey, Matt, thank you so much for coming. Are you ready?" And I said, "Of course I'm ready." And so she opened a side door in the courtroom, and in walked in a group of men and women in prison jumpsuits with ankle chains, waist chains, handcuffs to their waist, and they were wearing flip-flops with socks. And we all know that flip-flops with socks is never comfortable. And they sat down, and I wasn't expecting this, and she said, "Okay, everybody, well, here's Matt. He wrote the book. So Matt, why don't you go ahead and share?" And I was like, wow, this is okay. And I said, what came over me was, listen, I'm going to tell these men and women how much they inspire me. Because I lived a great life that I didn't understand it wasn't about me. These men and women lived behind bars in chains, and they were still able to understand that it's not about them. And to do this book every Monday from this program blew my mind. And so at the end of talking to them and telling them how much they inspired me and how much they mattered, I asked the woman in charge, the judge, if I could give them each a You Matter wristband, because we have these wristbands. And she said that I could. And you can imagine the visual of 2 handcuffs wrists with a band that says You Matter next to the handcuffs. And it's something that I'll never forget. And one of the men stood up, and he's about a 6'6" Hispanic guy, about 300 pounds, and I'm a pretty decent-sized person. And it was one of those moments, he said, "Listen, bro, can I talk to you for a second?" And it's one of those moments you have in life where like 40 thoughts go through your head in a millisecond. I'm thinking, did I look at him weird? Did I say something? He's in ankle chains, I'm not, all these sort of things. And I looked at him, and I said, "Yeah, man, what's going on?" And he said, "I want you to know that no one's ever told me that I matter my entire life. And that's why I ended up where I am today." And he broke and started crying on my shoulder. And I realized in this moment that this convicted felon, who I will never know his name, I may never see him again, he literally changed the course of Every Monday Matters for me and what this means. Because from the beginning for me, Every Monday Matters was about changing the numbers. I wanted there to be less litter, more trees, more blood donations, more people smiling, less cigarette butts on the street, all these sorts of things. But what I realized from this man, it's not about that. It's about getting people to understand how much you matter. Because when people understand how much they matter, they don't do things like litter and this and that and the other thing, because they have this thing inside of them. And as I travel the country and I meet thousands of people, and it's always the same. They ask the same questions. We get up every morning, we look in the mirror, and we say, what's my purpose? What's my significance? What's this life all about? We have the same needs. We want to feel like we connect, like we belong, like we're acknowledged, like we're loved, like we matter. And the thing is that everyone here, you all matter. I guarantee you matter to your family, to your friends, to your community, to your kids, to your husband or your wife. But for some reason, we get in this thing in life where we feel like we can't focus on that's here, and we have to go out there and find it somewhere. Maybe in a nicer car, or nicer home, or better clothes, or this or that, or the other thing. And we just lose sight of what truly matters to us. And I will tell you that there's so many stories of people I've met. A senior in high school here, Nikki, at San Diego High School, who was homeless. And I met her, and we spent some time together, and she realized in that moment that she mattered. And she went on to graduate from high school as a homeless student, and now she's going on to work in organic gardens and eventually to go to UC Davis for ag school. We receive it from men and women emails saying, I understand that I matter now, so I went out and I lost 50 pounds. I mean, that's life-changing for people. But from CEOs to convicts, to kids in schools, to all of us here in this room, it's always the same, and we matter, and we just have to kind of push the rest of it aside and get back into where it's here. And for me, that mattering I found in service. And I found my purpose in going out and trying to make a difference in the world. And so in some ways, I matter because it's not about me. And to me, that's a really cool concept. So to hear it from me, there was one thing. What I'd like to do right now is I'm going to just pick on 5 volunteers. How about the second row there, you 5? You feel cool about that? Will you come on stage really quick? Thank you. I promise they have no idea what they're doing right now, okay? And you might not think I matter by the time we're done. So just come up here and make a little semicircle here on the red carpet. So one of the things that I realize is it's one thing to think about this stuff and hear it from some guy on the stage who, isn't a professional at any of this stuff, but I think it's another thing to stand in front of 500 people and to announce to all of you, my name is Matt Emerzian, and I matter because, and to finish that sentence. And so I'm going to ask the 5 of you to say your name and why you matter.
My name is Matt Tomaszewicz. My brother's part of this, and I matter because I believe in what he's doing, and that's why I'm here.
Awesome.
Very good. My name's Mike Plattis. I matter because I... Sorry. Because I volunteer for a nonprofit that deals with child abuse.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Mary Plattis. I'm married to Mike Plattis. And I recently started working with Terry, and they're a nonprofit that serves autistic adults. And my goal is to write a culinary program with them, so I'm real excited about that.
Thank you. Hello, I am Karen Gastelum from Tijuana. And I'm a teacher, a philosophy teacher, and I think I work with university students. That's awesome. And I matter because I want to be part of this kind of movement.
Great.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Mimi Holtz. I'm a music teacher, and I especially like to work with people that don't believe that they can be musicians. And I think that's one reason I matter.
Awesome. You can stay here. You can stay here. So give them a hand. That's great. Thank you so much. That's not easy to do, trust me. So I want to end with just this one thing, is that we have You Matter wristbands here for all of you. And so when you leave after the first session, please grab one for yourself, but I also want you to grab another one. And sometime either today or next week, this coming week, I want you to take that wristband and give it to someone, look them in the eye, and tell them how much they matter. Because to me, and in the spirit of TED, that is definitely an idea worth spreading. So thank you. Thank you. You guys are great.